What do you think is the biggest misconception about the HR function?
There are many, I feel, but one of the most glaring ones which I feel is that HR has been historically been known as a hire and fire function, and somebody who does just the routine, mundane payroll or life cycle management activities. This, I believe, is the biggest misconception.
Would you like to bet your money, on someone who is coming with a pedigree, like for example IIT and IIMs, or someone with a skill set?
If it's a binary answer, I would say skills for sure today. That will take you far because it speaks about the agility.
What are those three skills today which were not even present, maybe 10 years back or probably 15 years back?
And the usage of data and analytics is one element which wasn't in very prime focus earlier on, specifically within the HR fraternity.
What makes an employee truly loyal to an organization?
It's the promise. When you get hired,
Hello and welcome to the People Engine podcast. For today's conversation, I'm very glad to welcome Gaurav Chopra. Gaurav is an in-seed alumni with a dual master's degree in human resources and corporate law. Gaurav brings 19 plus years of experience in the global HR leadership space, cutting across different boundaries like India, UAE, Egypt, and Asia Pacific. His work with the top multinationals has been centered around driving HR transformation, building vibrant cultures, and shaping future-ready teams. Certified in People Analytics from the University of Cambridge and AI Application from the Northwestern Kellogg. He's not just a HR leader, he's also recognized by the President's Award from the Honorable ex-President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and featured by the National Geographic magazine for wildlife photography. Gaurav is a blend of analytics, rigor, and creative passion. Gaurav, I welcome you on the People Engine podcast. But when it comes to conflict management, do we go to the leaders and say, यार गलती है आपकी भी है, इसको थोड़ा सा manage आप भी करो? Do we do that?
Yeah.
Or it's only the employees who are freshers or graduates, we just try to convince them and make them fall in line?
well, yes and no. Let's just leave it at that. Well, yes and no, but this is the path that we should be walking.
We should be working.
This is the conversation that we should be having. So so it is. It is a carrot and stick, but at the same time, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
But I'm sure that change is impending. It will happen.
Yes.
वो हम रोक भी नहीं पाएंगे. It will happen now.
Yes.
Right. Also, since 2020, when we got into that post-COVID environment, there's a lot of work from home which is happening. Do you really think that building a culture of an organization is really possible with employees which are completely working from home, or someone who's allowing organizations which are making a hybrid work culture happening? So do we really understand and plan the culture in that organization or not in this setup?
I mean, if I were to give you a very generic response, I mean, my personal preference would be.
But is there a problem like that or not, which exists?
There is.
Okay.
There is. But if I were to pick one side, I would pick the side of interacting with and meeting people in person and, having those in-person conversations, because it is not about just my job and just, the role that I'm doing. It is about so many other aspects in an organization. So working from home or a hybrid, although there are, all sorts of views around it, but I feel coming back to work or working within a premise really adds a lot of value. It has a multiplier effect.
Right.
So I mean, I can get to do things which I'm possibly not doing sitting in a specific silo, and this builds on a lot of creativity, a lot of new ideas, and things sort of have a ripple effect, and it's only productive. So I still feel you can call me old school, but I feel being there in
Together
premise,
there,
together,
with the team, with the
collaborating.
leadership. There's so much to learn.
Absolutely,
There's
collaborating, working together. I mean, it's not old school. It's a thing to do.
It should be a way of working.
Yeah, it should be a way of working.
At
Now,
least hybrid.
Minimum hybrid.
Right. Okay. In this, as we're talking about this hybrid world, let's talk about एक ऐसी policy, HR policy, which is completely redundant today, which is just not required. In case you can think of.
Yeah, absolutely. There's I will give you two. So
Okay, you
there's
came
two.
prepared.
No, I don't know. I'll give you two. So there's one. One is obviously, I mean, since we're talking about hybrid, this 9 to 5 has to go. This is a completely redundant policy. I mean, you'll see that written in appointment letters that you got to work from 9 to 5 or whatever, and so that needs to complete. That's redundant. And the second part, of course, is the dress code. Yeah. So there is some organizations have a dress code policy. Now there has to be like a guidance around it, but not like a stick rule. I mean that listen, you will get you'll be hit on your knuckles if you come in jeans or something like that. So I mean that these are two policies which needs an overhaul or maybe a complete canning.
What are the red flags, Gaurav, when it comes to anyone looking for an opportunity or seeking a new opportunity? What are the red flags
So I
that
think
one should be watchful about?
Oh, sure. It's a great question. So, how committed is the leadership or the organization in supporting you with your career, and how reluctant are they in responding to your career aspirations, or which are typically part of a JD or a role profile or during
But
the
Gaurav,
interview
ये तो तब होगा
conversations.
ना जब बंदा ज्वाइन कर लेगा. I'm saying even before a person is joining,
Right.
when they are seeking an opportunity कि A में जाना है, B में जाना है या C में जाना है, तो on what parameters they should choose that यार A में जाऊंगा, B और C में नहीं जाऊंगा.
Right.
From that outside surface, how can they really judge?
It is. I'll tell you how I sort of look at it personally.
Yeah.
So when I am interviewing with an organization, I would want to know from them what is their commitment to building or investing in me. What are the top 3 priorities? Are they aligning with mine? So for example, if my priority in joining an organization is to ensure that let's just say in 3 years I'm moving to a different assignment and the organization is willing to provide that mobility. So if there is reluctance or if there is avoidance of that specific question or a theme, then that would be a red flag for me, which I would not know whether if they are committing something or promising something today, it will eventually deliver on the ground later or not. So because it's a big investment, a career change or a job change is a massive investment.
It's a massive investment.
So
Not only investment, I think it's the biggest risk
it's the biggest risk.
that you can take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think this would be one of our biggest red flags in looking at it. But fortunately, if you have the flip side of it is that if you have somebody acknowledging and also putting on the table the realistic scenarios of the organization, it may not be saying that you will get it in 3 years provided you do this, is also a honest conversation. So the conversation needs to be honest, and there should not be any doubts as a candidate getting from an organization if you are getting through.
And how about the little background checks which one should do in terms of, have you heard about Glassdoor?
Yeah.
So Glassdoor is one, for example. Though
Ambition
I'm not a big
box,
fan of that.
Yeah.
But how about the other colleagues or probably, someone who's known, who's working in those companies? Some
Right.
kind of culture check, some kind of financial checks, some kind of passion check and mission check of that company. I think
Absolutely.
it has to be done.
Absolutely.
Organizations are run by leaders. Right, Gaurav? अब आप बताओ, is it easy to identify a born leader or is it easy to make one?
No, it is. So it is easy to let's just say relatively easy to identify,
Okay.
but very difficult to create
Right.
or build one. It's a lifelong sort of a process, and like you said, you use the word people science and science around human behaviors. So it takes a lot for multiple people and departments to make sure that they invest in creating the leaders for future, and not just identification is relatively easy because you have tools and you have checks, you have references, and a lot of other things that you can know, and with prior experience of the individual, how the person has been. So those credentials help, but creating one is, I think, a most difficult thing to do.
Okay. Got it. As we are talking about the leaders, let's talk about the CEO. For example, there's always a change of the guard, right? Who do you think should be the CEO of any company, especially if it's coming from within? What I'm referring to is, I'm talking about the succession planning. Right? So leaders are there and they'll be there for the next 10 years, 15 years, or whatever time it is. Sometimes the time is also limited. For example, they become the chairman or CEO for 4-5 years. And succession planning is something which is extremely important. So from within the organization, who do you think, in terms of, I'm talking about divisions. Every organization has different divisions. a core function, non-core functions, who do you think stand a chance or given a chance to become the CEO?
It could be anybody. So in my view, it should be division agnostic. As long as you have broadly two, um, you're able to display two aspects. One, you've understood the business right at the nuts and bolts of it. You've understood the business, business priorities, where we are headed, the long-term vision, all of that as a candidate, as an individual. You could be from HR, you could be from marketing, you could be from finance. That it doesn't matter. As long as you are understanding the business, you understand where we want to be, how we've built it, and what does it take, what are the levers for us to thrive. That is a level of involvement that we need to have as individuals to take up, let's just say, the number one job. That's one core characteristic. The second is your ability to it's again a relatively softer aspect. The other thing is the ability to communicate and articulate it down the value chain. And you're dealing with so many kinds of folks within the organization, stakeholders outside, working with regulators and other bodies. So articulating that vision and mission and communicating in very differentiated ways to all such diverse groups is another element. It's a skill in itself. And not just that, I would say moderating it right from like a 20-second conversation to a 2-hour long interaction is what defines that person who should be ideally taking up that job.
The top job.
The top job.
Right. So have you heard about Leena Nair?
Absolutely.
But it's a happy surprise for sure.
Oh yeah.
Having spent almost 30 years in the human resource function and now heading the company, and that to Chanel, as a global CEO, I think that is one of the biggest examples that anyone can be picked up. So, if the person has that caliber, that's an important thing. Not specific to human resource, but perfect example. And many such more examples we have.
Right. And you're right. I mean, when you mentioned about Leena Nair, it is not just that's a role model we need.
Yeah.
It does surprise a lot of people, but it doesn't surprise, I'm sure, the board or the decision makers to decide that hey, she has to be the one taking that job, because she has
caliber.
She has that caliber. She's done everything that it takes for the organization to be run by the by this individual.
But it feels good.
It feels great.
It feels great. Yeah. Gaurav, for the rapid scaling of businesses, now I'm talking in the context of actually startups. There's a rapid scaling which is happening and rapid growth which is projected, right? In such scenarios, what do you think is the role of an HR function in terms of hiring or in terms of firing? I think we are looking at both the worlds together today.
Right.
In the rapid expansion, what is the role of a human resource person?
I would say transforming.
Okay.
See, hiring and firing has always been the flavor of HR per se, and we've been notoriously known for just doing this. Although we don't have a direct hand to play sometimes, but but at the same time, if there is an element that we can bring in to make sure that we are able to not just hire and let people go, but able to sort of deploy them somewhere else, make sure that we are carving out other career paths for them, reskilling them, and seeing if we can find avenues elsewhere are I think some of the avenues that we can look at. But unfortunately, fortunately, the reality also is that there are various forces in play that leads to people leaving, and since HRB is one of the gateways of those conversations, it is a difficult conversation to have, but there is an element of that cushion that we should come in and transform or change career paths, reskill, redeploy employees and talent around.
It sounds so good and so ideal. Does it really happen?
Not as much.
Not as much.
But can it happen? I think yes. I mean, there is obviously an ecosystem effect. I mean, we are all HR folks. I mean, you are also in the industry. You've been working both on the demand supply side, on both sides, and we are in so many forums. We are so many forums. But and so many WhatsApp groups. HR kitne WhatsApp groups hain, CXOs kitne WhatsApp groups hain, and all of that. Typically, we don't necessarily discuss how somebody can add value. We don't necessarily pitch a candidate if you believe is that candidate who can sort of take on a specific role by creating like a 3-liner, very number-driven pitch statement. all we do is forward CVs and just hope that there is some higher power वो CV देख ले और उसको नौकरी मिल जाए and everybody's happy. That doesn't happen. So those conversations are limited only within organizations for some time, but we don't necessarily follow that outside. And I would say I'm guilty of it too. And we just don't do it for our friends and family. We do it for everybody. So I think investment in talent per se is not just a conversation within the organization. So we should help them move to somewhere else that we believe we are connected to, which we don't. So that ecosystem effect is very crucial outside the organization as well. But to answer your question, we don't do that enough.
Not enough.
We should.
Right. So much to be done.
So much to be done.
In those parameters also. You know, if you talk about today, there are a lot of people who are getting stressed out and, you know, they would like to take career breaks. And there's a lot of risk that they want to take also, you know, not only career breaks, but there are people who would like to take career risk also. What do you think, Gaurav? What is the right time to understand that this is the time that I should take a little career risk or a career break, and when it is not?
It should come at a time when you think you've plateaued in your current job. And
I thought you'll talk about the financial part.
हाँ, पैसा अगर है तो आप ले लो ब्रेक, वो तो obviously it's there. But just because you have money and you take a break will not
doesn't fit well.
Yeah. You know, I don't know, if you have the money, you have that comfort, right? I need to be slightly discomfort is not, I need to be slightly jumpy, you know, when I'm taking that decision. So if I decide to sort of make a career switch, which I did once personally, it wasn't easy.
Right.
It wasn't easy because I was sort of bored, I personally thought that I've plateaued in my specific sort of a learning. So I wanted to try a divergent side of things, which I did.
But within the same function?
Within the same function, adding on something which I had never done in the past.
Okay.
And so when I did that, very fulfilling, because then your learning starts. I mean, the rigor starts. It feels like you back to the
it's
rigor.
A fresh energy.
It's a fresh energy that
which gets to you.
And the kind of people you meet are not the same category of people who have mentored you in the past. And it brings on fresh perspectives, and there's a lot of reverse mentoring that happens. So you feel that, you know, wo rigor वापस आ गया है, that energy is back, you know, you're creatively involved, you're learning something new, and obviously that probably adds value in your future.
So it's a very individual kind of a take, which one should take.
Very individual kind of a take.
On whatever parameters that one wants to really take a risk, at what stage?
Absolutely 100%. But I feel it shouldn't be कि अब मैंने इतने पैसा बना लिया है, अब मैं try करता हूँ. It shouldn't be like that. I feel it should be from an intent point of view, driven by value creation.
It should be a value creation decision, right?
100%. 100%.
For oneself and also for the organization that you work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Gaurav, अगर मैं एक single biggest leadership, education की बात करूँ या leadership lesson की बात करूँ for you, what has that been for you? What is the single biggest leadership lesson that you have learned in your life so far?
We briefly discussed this. This is a
just
lesson.
In short, if you have to.
I know, yeah. So I mean, lead by actions. I think you know. So how you make somebody feel is very far-reaching than what you sort of talk about. We discussed this early on in the conversation, but I feel this is the biggest leadership lesson that I have learned from somebody very close and very recent. So and yeah, one more thing. And as you become a leader, everything. This is as recent as 2 days back.
Okay.
And what I've learned is that what you speak as a leader gets amplified very heavily. And so you should be very cautious of the fact what you speak and how you
make others
feel. It goes a long way and it has a cascading effect. So I think these are the two core aspects which are with me and will continue to be with me.
Right. So when we are talking about, we spoke about empathy. We spoke about those kind of things also, Gaurav. So when we say that how we touch people and how we treat them is important. So are we talking about all good things, or sometimes, a real feedback is diluted because of this habit, or do we need to be really frank and honest also at times?
Yeah, no,
but with the right tone.
Absolutely. No, it has to be, you said it right. I think the answer lies hidden in your question in some way. It doesn't have to be goody all the time. Right. It has to be very real. It has to be a conversation. I mean, it is like, what do you do with your kids, with your parents, with your partners, is that you tell them things as is. And that helps them understand you unfiltered. So that unfiltered conversation is very crucial.
So
And
that objective has to be clear
very clear.
for the individual and for the organization.
For both.
It has to be clear.
And two ways. So just because you are somebody's boss or a leader or whatever doesn't give you the right to be direct and not expect the person to be direct back to you. Because that is where I think the conversation and solutions would come through.
What an HR conversation that we are having today.
Oh,
Yeah. So Gaurav, if there's a young HR professional who's just starting the career and comes to you and asking for an advice, what would you give it to him on day one?
Day one.
Yeah.
To approach the job and the assignment with first principles thinking, which basically means that come and challenge everything, come and see it from a fresh perspective, bring in your wisdom, and please challenge platitudes. And I mean, some of those things are very crucial. Nobody does that. चलते फिरते system के अंदर आके क्यों कोई हाथ लगाए, कोई question करे. This is something that you need to bring in. And obviously you asked for one advice, but let me sort of add another one. And please learn the business, and know the business. Very crucial.
Right. What you're working for, the organization, what do they do? I think it has to be learned really well.
Absolutely.
That's how you can really chart your ways in the company, in the organization.
100%.
But good answer for that. I really want to play a little round with you, which is going to be a rapid fire.
Right.
Not much. It should just take few seconds to finish it off. You just need to choose one. फटाफट से. ज़्यादा time मत लगाना.
Done.
Skills or pedigree?
Skills.
Okay. Long notice period or flexible exits?
Flexi.
Okay. Excel sheets or gut feeling?
90% Excel, 10% gut.
You can't have a combination. It's a right answer. It's a right answer. Then, important again, LinkedIn or Naukri? Which is a better tool as per you?
LinkedIn for building a brand. No Naukri.
No Naukri? Okay.
Can I rephrase this? So LinkedIn for brand and Naukri for bulk hiring.
Both are important.
Both are important.
You're a smart person. Okay. Gaurav, in your career so far, what has been the what has been the winning moment for you? And what has been the lowest moment for you in human resources as a function? You can be honest to the level that you want to, but I really want honesty.
Right. So the lowest moment has been where, every time we have been considered as an event management function.
Okay.
And not necessarily as a partner in partner. So I think somewhere we are also to be blamed in this thought process, not as individuals, but as a fraternity. This is changing and it changes with strong leaders. One very high moment for us, or for me personally, has been where I would say at a very early age, I was able to move to an HR leadership role where I thought I still had some years to go. I don't know how that happened, but I still attribute that to the curiosity element possibly in me, and maybe that organization would have seen something which is still a mystery. That has been a high moment for me.
Well, that's great. Good to know you. And the kind of conversations that we have done today, there's so much to cover, right? So I look forward for another conversation with you. The People Engine podcast is our effort to bring forth conversations from the perspective of human resources, because we truly believe it's the people who make the businesses. Follow us for more interesting stories.